I just feel overflowing with creativity. I've fallen in love with knitting all over again. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oline and I'm knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here I talk about all things knitting, my current project, finished projects I'm planning on knitting, my yarn, just everything that comes to mind while I sit here and chat. I have gotten a bit sick this week, but I've had such a great week of knitting that I really want to share that with you. So I'm just going to power through because I have so many exciting projects that I want to share with you. But before we get to those, let me talk a bit about what I'm wearing. And today I'm wearing my Cumulus Blouse O-neck, I think that's what it's called. This is my Cumulus Blouse O-neck. It's by Petiteknit, and lately I just want to wear all of my summer tops, everything summer. I really want to just channel summer. I have waited for spring for so long, and usually when we first get spring here, it doesn't take that long until we have summer, and summer is really short. So I just wanna maximize all of the time I get to use my summer knits and knit summer knits and everything. So it's starting to be warm outside. Most of the snow has melted, so now I am in a summer mood. I want to knit everything summer and just do all of my summer projects. Now I am like flooded with inspiration to do the summer knits. I lack a bit of actual patterns to knit though, because I don't get recommended a lot of summer tops in my feed, because my algorithm is like, she lives in winter weather, let's just suggest sweaters to her. But that being said, this is my Cumulus blouse. I've knit this using, oops, it's stuck with my other yarn. I knit this using brushed alpaca silk, and I call this my birthday sweater because I got the yarn for my birthday from my grandma. She gifted me this yarn, and I also cast it on my birthday, so this is my birthday sweater. I made it last year. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for my birthday project this year. I don't know, and it's a bit under 2 months until, so I have to try to figure out what I'm doing. But this was last year's birthday project, and the original yarn you're using in the pattern is 2 strands of kid silk, but I don't love working with kid silk on its own. I think it's really nice to work with if you have another strand of another yarn, but on its own I don't love it. So when I got this yarn, I was really happy when I realized that this is like double the thickness of kid silk, so I got away with knitting with just 1 strand of this, and for me it was a lot easier to work with because it doesn't have as much of those like hairs that really fly everywhere and get in your mouth. This is a lot more compact, I would say. But I made this using just 1 strand of this, and I think I ended up using 5 skeins. I think this is about 125 grams. I might be, yeah, I think this is 5 skeins, 125 grams, and this is definitely the most lightweight sweater I own because it weighs almost nothing, and it's such a great sweater, and it's really great for summer, of course, but I also can layer it and use it in winter with like a long sleeve under it. But I love this, and I did make it with a bit of shorter sleeves because I think that's nice when it's summer to have shorter sleeves, for it to just be a bit more airy and have that summer feeling, because in winter I want my sleeves to end like mid-palm. So I just think it's nice to have a very clear like difference between my winter knits and my summer knits. But this is my Cumulus. I knit it pretty immediately after she released the O-neck version because I've loved the look of the Cumulus for so long, ever since I got into Petiteknit, but I haven't loved the V-neck of it. But when she released the O-neck, I was immediately in love and just had to make it. And now that I'm wearing this a lot and I'm absolutely loving the fit and feel of it, I have started looking a bit around in my yarn stash, and I've seen quite a lot of kid silk that I think might make a good version of this as well. And I know I just said that I don't love working with kid silk, but the last time I worked with kid silk was for a friend. I made her Sunday sweater mohair edition, and after that I said I wouldn't work with only mohair again, definitely not on 4mm, which this is. This is a 4mm project originally made with only kid silk, double stranded, but that project I made for her was in black, so I think that might have affected it a bit. So what I'm hoping is, because I have a lot of yarn that I think would look really cute, and what I think would be the cutest is this combination. So this is leftovers from my Moby and Porcelain and just all of those projects, and this is from my Violetta. And I think these together would make such a pretty, really summery Cumulus blouse. And now that it's in my head, I can't really get the idea out. Once I get an idea I think is good, I can't get it out of my head until I've done it. So I think these two together would make such like a light pink. I think it would be maybe so pink that it would only be a hue of pink, and I think that could be really cute. And I think if I end up doing it, which I probably will end up doing, if I don't end up enjoying it, I can just gift it away and I'll have gotten some yarn out of my yarn stash and I'll have tried it out just to see. But yeah, this idea is heavily on my mind lately. And also I am making my wedding dress, and this is some of the yarn I'm using for the skirt, and I think this combination would also look good for a Cumulus blouse if I end up having more than enough yarn of this. Both of these are really good combinations. I don't know, I just like the white with a really light other color. I think that would be super cute. Also, here's my basket full of like my kid silk, so there might be some other things in here that's cute. I think also this combination I quite like, just like every color imaginable but paired with white I think would be cute. But this is where my heart is at, like this combination would be so good. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, and if I don't stop talking about it, all of a sudden I'll just have cast on. So let's move to my whips. And the theme for this week really has been just that. I was so stressed and have been so stressed the last few weeks with the melange and just feeling like I never knit enough and wanting to knit faster all the time. So this week, to really try to get out of that mindset, I decided that I wouldn't have any rules to my knitting because I very easily put myself under a lot of rules. So I tried to get away from that. I said to myself that I would be allowed to knit on whatever I wanted, and I would never like tell myself, oh, you can't knit on this, you should knit on something else. I would just, whatever I want to knit on, that's what I'm knitting on. And if I wanted to cast on something, no matter how many project that turned out to be in the end, I would just allow myself to do that. If I wanted to, I could. And that's been so great. I have really, like the last few weeks, as I said, I've been like struggling. I've almost been in a knitting slump, couldn't really get myself to knit because I just didn't want to knit on the project I felt I should knit on. And this week, where I've just totally stepped away from that, I have had so much fun knitting. There's always been something to knit on that I really looked forward to knit on whenever I would get the time to knit. And now this week is done and I just feel overflowing with creativity. I've looked at my yarn stash and seen so many good ideas, looked at my plans, and just I've fallen in love with knitting all over again, and I really want to keep this way of knitting going forwards. And what I also realized is that I think the last few months maybe I've been kind of stressed about my knitting time, because as my son grows up I'm getting less and less knitting time each day, so I've been like really stressed about not being as productive as I'm used to. So I've been scheduling my knitting time very strictly and like only allowing myself to work on the correct projects for that time, and I think that's kind of taken away some of my love and the relaxing part of knitting for me. And I realized this week when I just took a step away from that I'm actually way more productive when I get to knit on what I really want to knit on. And yes, it might not be the thing that I was supposed to be productive on that week, but I'm supposed to get to all of my plans eventually anyways, so I think it's been much better to just allow myself to knit on what I actually want to, and then when I want to knit on it, I knit a lot faster and I want to knit, so I don't take as many phone breaks or just breaks to do other things. So it's been a great way to realize that me being really strict with my knitting time actually has made me a lot slower, and it's been really counterproductive. So I am really going to try to have this free way of knitting going forwards. I very easily end up putting a lot of rules on myself, but I'm going to try to stick to this and we'll see how well it goes. But let's actually get into the whips and talk a bit about them. And I think we're going to go oldest to newest. So let's start with the wedding dress. And like the main wedding dress, the top has sadly not gotten any attention. I did intend to knit on this, but the day of the wedding dress knitting is Wednesday, and Wednesday was just fully booked. I was doing things the whole day, and when I got home that evening and my son was put to bed, I just did not have the brain energy to start to figure out how to do the straps. And yeah, I know kind of where to place them, but figuring out how many stitches, how am I going to knit them, how long, trying it on, figuring it out, I did not have the brain energy to do that day. And yeah, it just didn't happen. I am excited to get to it. I want to get to it this week, hopefully this Wednesday, also doing the back and everything. But this week I just did not have the mind capacity to do it, and also I really struggle with knitting to kind of think and plan ahead when I'm designing on my own. I can't really think of it that abstractly. I need to have the knitting in my hands, actually be knitting it and seeing how that turns out. I can't just think about it that abstractly. It doesn't make sense to me then. So I need to just actually pick up the stitches and start knitting to see if I like it or not. But hopefully that will be a project I get to next week. But what I did really want to do when I got home on Wednesday was to start on the skirt. I talked a bit about that last podcast. I showed my prototype, my swatch for the skirt, and the skirt is something I've been really excited about this week. So when I figured out I didn't have the mind capacity to start knitting and doing the straps, I started with the skirt, and that's also something I'm designing myself, but something I felt like I had a better grasp on what I wanted. So I started knitting the skirt, and as I showed earlier, this is what I'm using, and here I'm actually using 2 strands of mohair, but on way bigger needles than 4mm, and that's actually been quite pleasant. So what I started with doing was to make this I-cord. Let me try to show you. It's quite hard to show an I-cord. And I think I ended up knitting the I-cord on 7mm needles. I was supposed to do 8, but I don't have 8mm deep end needles, and I was not going to do an I-cord on a circular needle. That's so much more work, so did it on 7, and that worked out. And while I was doing the I-cord, I was trying it around my waist intermittently. I think that's the word. I was trying it on around my waist every now and then to see, and I think I ended up knitting it to be about 1 meter, a bit more. And also I-cord is a bit stretchy, especially when there is when it's knit on such big needles with such a loose gaze. And when I cast it off, I tied it around my waist so I could see how much of the straps I would need to like tie together and make a bow. And then I made sure I had the exact same length on both sides. I counted, if you go really close to it, you can like see the different stitches. I counted those so there would be exactly the same amount on each of them. And then I started picking up stitches, and I picked up 3 stitches in every stitch, which gave me a bit of poof. And then I started knitting back and forth. There you can see it up here. Maybe you can see that I picked up 3 in every one. But I did that, and then I started knitting back and forth, and I think I knit 3 rows, which is, each row is almost a centimeter, at least a centimeter, a half one. So already then I could like see a bit, and I just didn't feel like I was getting enough poof, and I was really afraid that the weight of the skirt when it's finished would just make all of the poof go away. So I decided to do one more increase. On my swatch I had only done those first increases where we pick up 3 in every stitch, and I was happy with the poof then, but that swatch isn't very big, and I thought it's better with a lot of poof than too little, so I increased again. And what I did then was I knit 3 and then yarn overward, and then knit 3 and then yarn overward, and on the purl side I knit that yarn over so it would look like a regular increase. I'll try to show you if I can see one. Here. So, and after that you can see where the skirt's at now. I feel like this has a lot of poof now, so I'm very happy with that. It is of course a bit hard to see how much poof it really has when it is on shorter needles, but I did actually manage to find that someone in my family had 8mm needles and 100cm cable, so I'm really happy with that, because the only 8mm needle I had was 40cm, and I think this would be a pain to knit on 40cm circulars. And I knit back and forth a little while back here, just so it would be easier to get on when I'm going to take it on and off and tie it together. But now I have connected in the round, and I'm loving knitting this, and 8mm is so much fun. It progresses so fast. I did this, I think this is about an hour that I spent on this that Wednesday when I started, and I got so far, and every time I did something I could like really see it progress, and that was so much fun. I love chunkier needles, but the thing for me with chunkier needles is that my hands do not like them. I think it's really fun and entertaining to see the progress, and it like keeps me wanting to knit more, but my hands scream for me to stop. Especially this hand starts hurting so bad. My last two knuckles here like burn when I knit with chunky needles for longer periods of time. So this skirt is definitely a project where I have to stop. I really shouldn't knit with chunky needles for longer than an hour. So an hour maximum each week, I think, is what would be best for this, so I don't ruin my hands, because I also have other projects I want to knit on, so I don't want to hurt my hands so bad that I have to take a longer break from knitting. So an hour every now and again is what I'm going to give this project, but it does progress quite quickly, so I'm excited to see. Also, I feel like I have more than half left of each of these skeins, and I feel like I also have gotten really far, so I'm excited to see how much yarn I'll actually use. I don't quite remember how much yarn I got of each color, but I think I got at least 10 skeins of each if I didn't get 15 or 20. So I'm excited to see. Maybe I think I'll have enough yarn to make a Cumulus, because this does not take up that much yarn, but I'm going to definitely finish these skeins first and just measure to see how much, how long the skirt is, because it's going to be quite a long skirt. It's going to be about floor length, so it's going to need quite a lot of yarn, but it is very light and I'm knitting it on huge needles, so I don't use that much yarn per centimeter. As you can see, it is quite holy and gapy, but this is more for like the effect of the poof and for a bit of color. So I think this is going to be super cool, and I'm so excited to finally be working on the skirt part of the wedding dress. Now I just need to finish that top so I can start on the skirt part of that dress as well, so I can really start to see it coming together. It's been just so much fun, and yeah, this project is just something I really look forward to continuing working on. This has been the part of my wedding dress idea that I've been the most happy with, and that I think sounds and seems the coolest. So now that I'm really getting to see that coming to life, I just want to spend all my time doing it. So that is my wedding dress this week. I haven't really seen them together yet, so maybe I'll do that just before we move on. So the idea is, this is the top, and then this is the skirt that's going over the wedding dress. So it's going to be like this. And here you can see it when it's like over the wedding dress. I think that's going to be really cool, and I think to like incorporate the colors of this skirt into the main wedding dress, I might do a bit of embroidery, because you have this, and to make like this section more seamless, where it goes from like white into more blue, I think I might do some embroidery just to tie it all together. I don't know how to do that, but my sister does a bit of embroidery, and I think doing a bit of flowers or something with this kid silk could be really cool, and just tie the whole dress together. But that is the wedding dress. And then I have my other project, and the oldest project after that is the Ingrid. And this was, I don't call my wedding dress an active project, because it is, but it's going to be a work in progress for so long that it's not one of the active projects I count, because it's just going to be like a year-long work in progress. But the Ingrid was the only work in progress that I counted that I went into this week working on, and I was so excited to work on this. This is such a lovely color. This also is all of the spring vibes to me. I think it might be a bit warm in spring, but also if I am doing outside things for long, it gets cold, so this is going to be great. I'm knitting it in Petiteknit in the color Poppy. I love the color Poppy. The color Poppy is everything to me. If I ever see the color Poppy in any yarn, I'm getting it. It is, can you look at it? It's so amazing. But where we left off last week, I think I had just finished the front yoke, so I was about to start working on the body, and I did not know what I was doing with the neckline. I kind of wanted to start on the neckline before starting on the body, but I didn't know what I was going to do with the neck, so I decided to start on the body. And this is the body. Here is where I joined in the round, and I've done one more section. This is just double moss stitch, and then there are 2 rows of purling, the yarn overs, and 2 rows of purling, and then I ran out of yarn on the body. And then I started thinking about the neck, and I figured that I would do the same neck that is in the junior pattern, just so it would be as close as possible if I'm ever going to do a match with my son, which I really hope to be doing. And yeah, I ended up doing that. I picked up stitches like it said in the junior pattern, and I do like the look of it, and I've tried it on and it looks good, but also there's something about the color that just looks a bit too chunky, if I'm honest. And especially on the sides here, it like bulges out, and it, yeah, the color is definitely chunky, and I don't know if that's because I'm working with Petiteknit and Petiteknit is a bit chunky for this pattern maybe, or if this just is a chunky neckline for this pattern. If it will get better when I block it, because the Ingrid has to be blocked quite aggressively, if it will be better then. As I said, it looks okay when I'm wearing it, but I'm definitely afraid the color will be very like oversized compared to the rest of the sweater and very chunky. It feels and looks quite chunky to me, and my test to see if I'm just overthinking how it looks, or if it actually looks like it, I just hold it up to my fiance and then I'll see what he says, and if he just kind of brushes it off with it looks okay and he's not really interested, then I'm only overthinking it. But when I held this up to him, he commented on how chunky the color is, so I think the color might be chunky, and I'm glad I've done it so early in the project, because I think if I did the color as the last thing when working the sweater, I would be less likely to go back in and try to fix it. But because I still have quite a ways to go till this is a finished wearable sweater anyways, I am open to going back and picking up less stitches or doing a different kind of neck. If I just do the Italian bind off instead of folding it down, maybe it would be less chunky. What do you guys think? Does it look chunky? What would you do? Would you just put an elastic in and hope for the best? Yeah, I am on the fence about this, but I'm having a lot of fun. I was really looking forward to working on this as like my only my only project this week, and it did not turn out to be my only project, but I had a lot of fun working on this, and I'm looking forward to working more on it. And actually I have another project that I'm going to talk more about later, but just I have talked a bit about this crisscross, and every time I've done a project with this crisscrossy things, I don't know what they're called in English. All of my patterns are in Norwegian, so don't know what the design name is, but every time I'm doing those, I wouldn't say hate it, that's quite strongly, but I've really disliked it. I don't think it looks good, and I've been kind of annoyed all of these great patterns have so much of it, but when I started knitting this, I was so pleasantly surprised because I loved doing them for this sweater, so I was kind of perplexed. My first thought was that it is probably because the stitch definition with this yarn is great, so they really pop, but I started thinking that is it really the stitch definition, or maybe I just like doing that crisscross thing now. And now I'm also working on the Moby Slipover baby, and this is filled with this crisscrossy things, and that was really my answer, and it definitely is the stitch definition on this. This yarn is a lot rougher. The Petiteknit yarn is kind of rough, so the stitch definition really just pops, whereas this that's knit in Drops Baby Merino, the yarn is just so soft that the crisscrossy thing, it doesn't pop to me. This is also darker yarn, so that might be skewing my opinion a bit, because this is also lighter yarn, so you see it a bit better, but I really like doing the crisscross on this, and when I started doing the crisscross on the back of this, I just thought to myself, are they supposed to look like that? This does not look right, this does not look good. It looks better now that I've done more, but I do not like them. I don't think it's great. I know that I like the final version of this vest, but this part in itself, I don't like it. I can't get behind it. I've always been a bit like, I don't love that all of these great designs have so much of the crisscrossy thing in them, but once they're finished, they do look great. I just need to like get past this part of it. But on this sweater, I actually do enjoy them, and that's the next thing I'm going to do on the body. I think I'm going to do this, but you're supposed to do 2 of the crisscrossy things, but that's the next thing in store for me, so that will be great to do it on this where I actually like it, whereas on this where it's pretty much the only thing I do but I don't like it. But yeah, that is my Ingrid. I'm excited to keep working on her, and yeah, I really look forward to getting the body done so I can really try it on. I have tried it on, but I can gauge how it fits a lot better once the body is actually done. But moving on to this project, this is another thing I cast on. This is part of my cousin's christening outfit, so I just really wanted to get started on this so I wouldn't end up stressing myself out. And since I started on this without stressing myself out on it, I have actually knit a lot and just had a lot of fun. First I knit one whole skein, and when I ran out of yarn on that skein, I started doing edges. So I did this edge last night. This is a folded over collar, and as you can see, this folded over collar versus this like stands up on its own, whereas this is more like bowed inwards, and this is more what I'm looking for. But yeah, for this, that's how it looks like. And now I've started on one of like the arm openings. This is not a folded over edge. I'm just going to do a couple of rounds of ribbing and then do Italian bind off, and then the same for the other side. And then I only have, I wouldn't say a couple, but a few centimeters left on the body to go before there. I'm going to do the ribbing on that as well, and then this is done. Of course, my twin cousins are twins, so I have to do this again, but since I started so early, I actually have don't have to cast them on right after each other. I have some time to do other projects, so this has been really great. And since I'm not stressing, this has also been a great experience. Of course, don't love the crisscross, but knitting it up has been fun. It's such a small little cute project, so I've just been looking at it, calling it cute, knitting on it. It progresses really quickly, so instead of making myself sick of the project and really not look forward to doing it a second time, I actually look forward to doing it a second time so much. And both of the colors I'm knitting the vests in are favorite colors of mine. This is Drops Baby Merino in North Sea, which is one of my favorites. The first knitted item of clothing I made for my son was in this color, and ever since it held a special place in my heart. I always come back to this color. And the other color I'm doing is the sage green. I don't have any super close to me. I'll grab it from back here. I'm also doing a sage green. This is another color I love, and I've already made lots of matching clothes for the twins using these colors, so that's what I'm doing again. So I do really look forward to that. I'm knitting the size 6 to 9 months. I thought I was doing 3 to 6 months because I think that might fit them perfectly, like hand in glove perfectly, but when doing the backside, I realized that the only difference between doing the 3 to 6 months and the 6 to 9 months was one more increase at the side here. And I thought, if that's going to be the only difference, and I'm knitting the body a bit longer, and of course there was one more increase on the front as well, if that's going to be the only difference, I might as well do the bigger size, because 2 increases in each side is not going to make that much of a difference, and then they'll be able to wear it hopefully for a bit longer without it being way too big at their actual christening. So that's what I decided to do, and hopefully they will fit. But I think it's better with too big than too small, because then you'll actually be able to use it. So that is where I'm at with this one. I don't know if I'm going to finish this first, but I don't know if I'm going to cast on the next Slipover or if I'm going to start with their jackets first, because I'm also making them Carl's cardigan using this Drops Daisy. I've had Drops Daisy in my stash for so long to make myself a zipper sweater, but I haven't gotten to it. So this will actually be my very first time using Drops Daisy, and I'm really excited for that as well. And both of their jackets are going to be knit in the same yarn, so I think I might do myself a favor if I do one Slipover, then one jacket, then one Slipover, then one jacket, just to get a bit of variation. So I think that might be what I'm doing, but I'm also not trying to place any rules on myself. So if once that's finished I feel like doing a Slipover rather than a jacket, that's what I'm going to do. Because I don't think the clue is to force myself, because then I won't knit on it at all. But that is the christening gift. After that I still wanted to cast on more projects, so that's exactly what I did. And last week I talked about how absolutely in love with the new Melange butter match we have I am, and someone in the comments reminded me that I have another match I've been meaning to make for so long, and that's the Eva cardigan. And once they reminded me about that, I was like, oh my god, how could I forget? I have to get to that immediately. So that's what I did, and I have loved working on this, as you might see based on all of the progress. I'm making this in the 3 to 4 year size, because I figured if I make it in the 3 to 4 year size, I'll still have enough yarn left over in this color to make an even bigger size, like 5 to 6 years. so we can be matching for as long as possible. But this is his Eva cardigan. I've done everything. I've separated 4 sleeves. I've knit 2 skeins out of the 6 it's going to take. So this has been super fun, and I'm just as obsessed with matching things now, and I honestly just want to work on things that will lead to matching knits for me and my son. And also, after that last podcast episode with our matching melange sweaters, now my fiance really wants a melange sweater as well. So I'm just having so much fun knitting matching knits, wearing matching knits, planning matching knits, and yeah, matching knits is just everything. But yeah, this is the Eva. Of course, it's dark yarn, so it's really hard to show. This yarn, I'm not using the same yarn as my Eva, because this yarn was already in my stash, and I wanted to use this for my Eva actually, but I didn't have enough yarn for myself. But this yarn is softer than Petiteknit for sure. I've enjoyed working it up a bit more than I enjoyed working it up with Petiteknit. There's something about the yarn that just feels so cozy to work with. I don't know exactly what, but it just feels really great in my hands. So that's been a great discovery, that I enjoy this yarn so much. But I love the Eva. I've made the adult pattern twice for myself and for my sister, and I want to make it once more because I want a light version of the Eva as well. I have one in navy blue as well, of course, but I do really want one in like cream. So I love the Eva. I think it looks great. I use it a lot. But there is something about the shoulder construction that my mind just can't get around. This is my 3rd time doing the Eva in some sort of way, and every single time I've messed up the shoulders. I do not know. I know the first time I made mine, I really messed up. I had to frog a lot, and it was just a mess. I couldn't even understand how I'd gotten it so wrong. And with my sister, I just got some small things wrong here and there. So I knew the shoulders are challenging to me when I went into this. So when I knit, I try to make sure counting my increases a lot and just making sure that I was doing everything right. But what that led to was me doubting myself so much. And it's also dark yarn, so when I was counting in the dark, I counted wrong, and I just, of course, I'm making mistakes because I usually do. So I thought I'd started doing the raglan increases too early, because when you're doing the shoulders, I hope you can see something, but when you're doing the shoulders here, you pick up stitches and then you only do increases for the sleeve for a couple of rows before you start adding in the raglan increases way later. But I thought I had started doing the raglan increases a bit too early. So to fix that, I knit 2 stitches together. I don't know if you can see that I knit 2 stitches together. It turned out quite invisible because it is dark yarn, and I did that everywhere I'd done the raglan increases. And then I knit 10 rows more, and then I was like, oh, this is not right. So then I counted again, and it turned out that I had made a mistake the first time around. When I counted, I'd counted wrong. So when I thought I was fixing a mistake, I was really creating a mistake. But I had done so many increases, and it would take so much time to frog everything back, and I would honestly almost start again. So instead of frogging back to where I did the decrease, I decided to just go ahead and do an increase instead. I don't know if you can see that, but this is definitely quite the homemade piece, because there's a random decrease here and then there's a random increase here. But in the end, hopefully I haven't counted, I just hope for the best. I know I have the correct amount of stitches. I know I have the correct amount of stitches for the sleeves, and hopefully I ended up with the correct amount of stitches for the body as well. And this is definitely a very homemade garment. It's a one of a kind, definitely, with all of these mistakes, but it just adds to the story of the sweater. I have a story to tell him now about it, but I really hope that the next time I make the Eva, if there's a next time, that I actually can make it in the right way. Once I have made a ridiculous amount of mistakes when it comes to the Eva now, so I really hope I'll be able to make it the way it's intended to just once. But this is the cardigan so far, and I am absolutely in love. I can just imagine us matching, and hopefully the next podcast I'll be able to come here and show you pictures, cute pictures of us two matching in our little Eva jackets. I think that would be great. I do have even the same buttons for his Eva as I do for mine, but my fiance cleans a lot more than I do. I just put my stuff in different places and then I just remember where I put them, but he goes behind me and just clears up everything I do, so I don't know where the buttons is now, so we have to do a bit of a scavenger hunt. But hopefully we'll find the buttons, I'll finish this, and I can show you all some really cute matching photos of us. I am obsessed with matching, but those are all of my active projects, and I am obsessed with all of them. I love all of them, but I also have so many other things that I want to cast on, and with my new rule I'm probably going to be casting on some of them soon, no matter if I finish the other things or not. So I thought I'd just share some of my plans with you. These are more of my summer knitting plans, because as I said, I am really craving summer. I just want to pretend that it's summer, I just want it to be summer. But I've also burned myself a couple of times and started my summer knits too late, and then the summer knits have been done by the time summer is over. That's not going to happen this year, so I'm going to start as soon as possible, and I have a lot of inspiration to do summer knits and what colors I want to do and everything, but I am struggling a bit to find patterns, as I said, because my algorithm is full of winter sweater and winter knits. So if you have any great summer knits that you love, any great recommendations, I would love to hear them, because I do really want to expand my summer knits wardrobe. But I have some things I'm definitely going to do, and one of them is Camisole No9 with this black yarn. I already have one in green, so I know I love it, but having one in black would just be great because it's so versatile. I can wear it whenever, and the green one is really tight, so I would like a bit of a more loose fit with the black one. So that's definitely a plan I'm having and hopefully going to do, but this is not front of the line because I already have one and it's not the most exciting project. And then I have my yarn has been flying everywhere. I have the yarn for the pole cardigan. This is definitely something I'm going to be casting on really soon, because a cardigan is great. I love cardigans. This last year I've just been obsessed with cardigans, and I get a lot of use out of my cardigans. They're something I can just have. If I get cold, I can put it on, I can take it off. It's very versatile. I love them. So another cardigan, and these colors just scream spring and summer to me. So excited to have these on my needles now that it's really spring and summertime. For these, as I said, doing the pulse cardigan, and And Scandicstitches on Instagram and YouTube, she's doing a cardi knit along. She has live streams and every Sunday, and she has a whole knit along, and that lasts until May, I think. So I definitely want to join that knit along with this cardigan, and maybe I'll even get to cast on during the live stream this Sunday. And then the project I'm the most excited about, and that I honestly just want to cast on right now, is Blouse No1. And I know this isn't the right yarn for it, so I'll probably have to do a swatch just to see, but I think Blouse No1 in this yarn could be really lovely. First of all, I love the color, but also because I'm using baby merino, because it is, even though it's warm here, it's still cold, you know. So I'm going to be using wool, but because with this, the gauge is definitely going to be quite loose and gapey, I think. I think that would make like the perfect combination, because it's wool, but it would be quite breathable. So I think that would be great for the Blouse No1, and I just love the look of it, how it seems to fit, all of the detail elements. I love it. I want to get started right now. So that is kind of the front of the line for me. And just look at this color. This color has been in my stash for so long, just waiting to be cast on, and I can't wait any longer. I just need this on my needles. So yeah, those are some of my main summer plans that's like definitely going to happen, and they're going to happen quite soon. And they're also, most of them are plans I feel like I don't want to make things I'll only be able to make in summer, because summer is quite short here. So I'm trying to make summer knits that I can also use in winter as indoor pieces or layering pieces, and I feel like all of these pieces would be great for that. But that being said, that is everything for today. This has been a great week of knitting, and I'm so glad I decided to do this week and not have any rules for myself, because I feel like I've really rediscovered my love for how creative knitting is, and just following the creative flow. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please leave a like and a comment, and if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!